And now we shall decompress the orbit. All right. Let's just have a look with the navigation as well. Yeah. So now that is the inferior portion, inferior turbinate, the posterior portion of the inferior part of the inferior turbinate. You can see the infraorbital. Now that should be the floor of the orbit. There. That's exactly. Look at the axial views, floor of the orbit, and just about touching the infraorbital nerve. Beautiful. Can you see? If you look at the axial cut, Dato, I'm exactly on the infraorbital nerve, all right? And there's a posterior wall of the maxilla. Now let me remove all the air cells so that we can identify the orbit very nicely. And now we can actually beginning to visualize the lamina papillae. So again, remember how pneumatized this specimen is. You can actually see some amount of orbital fat protruding there, all right? Because it's so pneumatized. So what we need to do now is to decompress the orbit. So how we decompress the orbit? We decompress the orbit by using a Freer's elevator. Let me remove all these air cells here, Blakesley again. And then we can use an IGS to show you that that is the orbit, or we're very close to the orbit. And with an IGS, we should be able to show you that we are at the orbit. There, can you see that? We're exactly at the orbit, and that should be, I believe, the anterior ethmoidal artery. Somewhere way up there. There you go. Can you see the nipple on the axial, in the axial cuts? That is the anterior ethmoidal artery. The anterior ethmoidal artery is always the guardian to the frontal recess. So you find the anterior ethmoidal artery and you go in front of the anterior ethmoidal artery, you will always find the frontal sinus. Now, Freer's elevator now. So this cadaver or this specimen is a bit shrunk, so the orbit may not be as clear as how it will be in a fresh cadaver, but we will show you an orbital decompression nevertheless. There you go. We remove the lamina papillae. That's the lamina papillae coming out, as you can see there. The same way, remove the lamina papillae. D is actually ballotting the orbit for us, so that we can know there. Can you see the orbit coming out there? Orbital fat. And what makes this dissection difficult is because it's so pneumatized, the orbit is actually quite far more lateral. Okay, now let's take a few minutes just to remove all the bone spicules, as you can see here. Okay, so now the orbit is like an ice cream cone, all right? So you can actually follow the orbit. It will take you back straight into the sphenoid sinus, and it'll take you to the anterior ethmoidal artery. So now I'm going to decompress the orbit a little bit more. You can see how hard the bone is becoming. That's probably the posterior ethmoidal artery. And we are coming to the junction of the orbit and the skull base. And you can see this part of the bone is quite hard in this patient here. Okay. So now you can see how that is the orbit, how the middle wall of the orbit forms the floor of the orbit. This is the decompression of half of the wall of the orbit. Sometimes this bone can be very hard, as you can see in this case. This bone is quite hard here, alright? There. That bone here is quite tough. Well, it's unusual. It's so well pneumatized in certain areas, yet it's so tough at other areas as well, right? So here, now we can see orbit. And I'm going to decompress all the way to the back. Kirsten, punch please. I'm going to remove a bit of the ledge to where the sphenoid sinus is. So hopefully we should be able to identify where the optic nerve. Remember I was telling you before surgery that this patient's sphenoid is not well pneumatized. Therefore we may have a little bit of a problem finding the optic nerve in this patient. So now you can see the posterior ethmoidal artery up there. Right? That's the posterior ethmoidal artery coming into view. That's the posterior ethmoidal artery coming into view. Now I'm going to remove all this bone. And now you can see how the orbit extends. There's a posterior ethmoidal artery. It's the guardian of the anterior wall of the sphenoid sinus. It's always a few millimeters just in front of the anterior wall of the sphenoid sinus. And that's the optic nerve. All right? So you can see this is probably some amount of Onodi cell, because the optic nerve is already in sight before the anterior wall of the sphenoid sinus itself. So that's the optic nerve coming into view. And I'm going to remove a little bit of the mucosa to show you a better view of the optic nerve. That's the mucosa of the sphenoid sinus removed. Can I have the IGS again? That's the posterior ethmoidal artery, as you can see on the IGS. That's the orbit. Let's follow the orbit from front all the way to the back. It takes you straight to the optic nerve. Can you guys see that? So the orbit is like a Cornetto ice cream cone. You follow the orbit, it takes you straight to the optic nerve at the apex there. Alright? So now let's decompress the optic nerve. Can I have a curate? This bone sometimes can be very hard, okay? So sometimes we need a drill. In 10% of the patients, the optic strut can be very hard, that you need a drill. But in most patients, you can do this by just using a curette. Make sure you are in the right plane, and you can see the optic nerve coming into view quite nicely. There you go. That's the optic nerve coming into view. The bone is quite hard. There you go. That's the optic nerve coming into view. There, that's the optic nerve that's being decompressed. Okay? Let's use an IGS again to confirm the optic nerve. Can you see that? So that's the optic nerve from the IGS. That's the carotid artery, the blue structure. So that's the optical carotical recess. Usually it's much more prominent than this. So again, an overview of what we have done so far. The middle turbinate here, the superior turbinate here, the sphenoid ostia that is via the natural sphenoid or the sphenoid-ethmoidal recess, as well as the view through a trans-ethmoidal. We can see quite nicely the frontal sinus here, and you can see the anterior ethmoidal vessels running into here, as well as the posterior ethmoidal vessels here. So here you can see the entire skull base, or the anterior skull base, coming into view, and you have a very nice view of both the anterior ethmoid and the posterior ethmoid as well. That's the anterior ethmoid, that's the posterior ethmoid. So what I would like to do now, FESS elevator, is to show you how we can actually see and dissect how the ethmoidal vessels enter the orbit. So go right superior into the orbit, and you can actually reach lesions all the way to 12 o'clock up there. Can you see that? So you can go along the periorbita, dissect it from the periosteum itself, and you can actually go all the way and remove lesions up to 12 o'clock. Lateral to this, you cannot go through the nasal cavity. But what I would like to show you is how the anterior ethmoidal arteries enter the orbit. That's something very nice for you to see. And then, curate please. Thank you. And that will also make you realize the importance of preserving the anterior ethmoidal artery and how you have an optic or orbital hematoma. Can you see the anterior ethmoidal artery there? There. So I've just decompressed the anterior ethmoidal artery. You can see the anterior ethmoidal artery coming very nicely. That's the anterior ethmoidal artery. The anterior ethmoidal artery will always run anteromedial to posterolateral, as you can see like that. That's how the anterior ethmoidal artery runs. And how it runs, can I have a scissors please? And how it runs into the junction between the superior oblique and the middle rectus muscle. Alright? So that is the anterior ethmoidal artery running across. And FESS elevator again. I've cut the anterior ethmoidal artery so that we can dissect the orbit. And you can see how the anterior ethmoidal artery runs into the superior oblique and the middle rectus. And you can see how the inferior or the posterior ethmoidal artery runs as well. Can I have an IGS? So you can see how with an IGS, that is the anterior ethmoidal artery, which I showed you just now. All right. Look at the axial. Look at the coronal cuts. It's exactly at the nipple, as I say. And that's the posterior ethmoidal artery, the guardian to the entry to the sphenoid sinus. And you see how medial we can go on the orbit. Can you see that? So we can go up all the way to almost 12 o'clock to lesions superior to the orbit, if you can see from the coronal cuts. All right? Can I have a sickle knife, please? Okay. Again, the frontal sinus, the anterior ethmoidal vessels, the posterior ethmoidal vessels. Now, when you want to decompress the orbit, what we do is we cut the periorbital. You can actually cut the periorbital in either three different lines, but what I like to do is actually cut the periorbital like an apron and remove the entire periorbital. All right. So that is the superior oblique coming into view, and now we're going to cut the periorbital and dissect the periorbital away. There you go. So there's the periorbital being dissected away. Okay, and when we do this, now we have, can you ballot the eye for me, please? That is the orbit that is being compressed there. So now I'm going to dissect away the periorbital fat so that we are able to expose and visualize the middle rectus muscle there. Can you see, guys? And you can also see how the middle rectus muscle is much more medial, or there's less fat covering it as it goes posterior. So whenever you use a powered instrument, always make sure the mouth never faces the orbit, and you will never have any problems, number one. And if you injure the orbit, it's always towards the back portion, because that's where the fat is the thinnest. So that's the middle rectus. And now, if you dissect a little bit more inferiorly, we will be able to identify the inferior rectus. Can you see that, guys? So, can I have some scissors, please? So I'm going to remove the periorbital fat, cut that periorbital fat away. There you go. Okay, so we dissect the periorbital fat away, and now you have a very nice view of the orbital cone. There. Again, a sickle knife. Let us go to the anatomy of the optic muscular cone. You have the superior oblique up here. Can you see? That's a superior oblique up there. There's a junction between the superior oblique and the middle rectus. The junction between the middle rectus and the inferior oblique. Very nicely seen, as you can see here. Let's use an IGS again to show you the middle rectus muscle. Okay? The superior oblique muscle, as you can see at the top, and the inferior rectus muscle. So now we are going to go intraconal now. So I like to go between the middle rectus and the inferior rectus, but depending on the location of where the tumor is. Sometimes when you dissect the middle rectus muscle, you can actually make out the oculomotor nerve. And let's see whether we are lucky enough to be able to see the oculomotor nerve. It depends on how much fat, intraconal fat the patient has got. And let's see whether we are able to visualize. If you're not, we'll just carry on with the dissection. So now we are now intraconal, dissecting the intraconal fat, and that's probably coming close. That's the oculomotor nerve there. Can you see? The white structure on the middle rectus. So now we're going to dissect a bit more inside, and hopefully we are able to visualize the optic nerve. This specimen is a bit more dry, so we may not be able to identify the optic nerve as well as a fresh cadaver. There you go. I think that's the optic nerve. The white structure there, that's probably the optic nerve. Intraconal optic nerve, not as clearly seen as you can see in some other specimens. All right? So that is the intraconal dissection.